2001's Legally Blonde tells the story of a sorority sister, Elle Woods, getting dumped by her tall drink-of-water boyfriend who thinks her bubbly disposition and free spirit won't jive with his plans to be a senator. And so she enacts revenge by effortlessly sliding ass backwards into Harvard and becoming a terrific lawyer, and eventually hooking up with Luke Wilson, sporting Lord Farquaad hair. And that's inspiring and girl powerful, but Hollywood's got some weird assumptions about masculine and feminine roles, and to be honest, maybe we all do. So let's swap some genders around and ask the hard questions that Hollywood is too chicken to ask. Like, what if a boy tried to become a lawyer?
That's terrible.
Sorry? That's the plot of most Hollywood films? Oh, all Hollywood films. Okay, well, I don't care. I want to figure out if people would still see this movie as a progressive classic if it featured a man.
I know you're upset about all this, but can't you just take a Percocet?
Because you're watching Gender Swap, I'm Allie, and this is Legally Boy.
Okay, welcome to law school.
Elliot Woods is an attractive, seemingly airheaded, fashion-forward, platinum-bland... Elliot Woods is an attractive, seemingly airheaded, fashion-forward, platinum-blonde man who expects to pop the question to his smart, rich, and successful girlfriend. Because he likes girls, okay? Not all men have to care about their careers above all else, right? You know, some just like boobs and stuff like that. Like Elliot.
Whoever said orange was the new pink was seriously disturbed.
But instead, Elliot gets a big plate of dumped.
So you're breaking up with me because my are too big?
Which is actually sort of interesting, because in most movies, when a woman is portrayed as being too smart and ambitious for a man, they're destined to get 27 dressed down until they finally realize being strong and independent pales in comparison to a real good d***ing by James Marsden.
When you said that you would always love me, you were just d***ing.
So Elliot Wood's girlfriend is actually kind of progressive for focusing on her career? Maybe, but in this movie, that still makes her a villain. How dare she put her career ahead of making children?
Law school's for people who are boring and ugly and serious.
Whatever. In Legally Blonde, Elle sulks around her sorority house with her sisters for days until they finally convince her to
steal the bastard back.
Now, the whole thing that's set up here is how Elle is freaking beloved by her sorority sisters because of her selflessness and compassion and willingness to help them with anything.
Everybody likes me.
Provided that that thing is looking more or less hot and or pulling off a bake sale or whatever. But swap that femme paradise with a frat house full of bros, and look, I don't want to make assumptions, but I doubt a recently dumped frat brother is going to be inundated with sweet and respectful romantic advice from his housemates. Is there an equivalent frat house comparison himbo dad type at a real college?
He's a guy who followed his pecker to greener pastures.
At any rate, Elliot chases his ex across the country, and let's hope that this big fancy law school teaches Elliot that chasing women who want nothing to do with him has a specific name: stalking. And stalking is illegal. Lee Blonde. We'll workshop it. Now, to his credit, Elliot does get into Harvard Law School on his own merits by crushing the LSATs and maintaining a 4.0. In fashion marketing. But okay, at least his video essay shows his charisma and confidence, right? Well, besides its inclusion of what would certainly be a truly unfortunate amount of taut banana hammocks, wouldn't it just piss you off if a dude seemingly got into a prestigious school, largely for being hot?
Law school?
It's a perfectly respectable place, Daddy.
Again, Elliot may be endearing to the audience because he's a nice guy, but Harvard doesn't know that. Like, imagine if a bunch of old women saw this video and decided, oh yes, this shredded white boy who knows a lot about current soapy TV shows and is highly motivated to stump for softer toilet paper must come to our law school.
All those opposed to chafing, please say aye.
Sure, there are probably plenty of qualified, non-hot, non-white, non-cis, non-rich applicants who couldn't even afford a camera, much less get the professional grade crew to produce such a video, but look at that bulge. Maybe audiences can squint and pretend like Elliot's not ridiculously privileged because, oh no, everybody looks down on him for caring too much about shoes. But yeah, he really is. You just might not see it as much when it's a woman. Lord Farquaad sort of meekly alludes to this when he tells Elle that being blonde has power and she should use it for good or something. But I think there's a lot more power in being rich and white than having highlights, if I had to guess. But okay, so the sexy rich white person who drives a Porsche Boxster got into Harvard.
Happens every day.
But what makes Elliot special is he's brought his compassion and his kindness towards others into the cold and unfeeling world of Cambridge, Massachusetts. While everyone else on campus is focused on homework and studying like a bunch of nerds, hoping to become legal experts and hopefully reform this godforsaken country, he's out to prove that you don't only have to be smart, you can also be sexy and rich. Finally. Someone has given us permission to be sexy and rich. Eventually, Elliot realizes no matter how sexy and rich and smart he becomes, he'll never be enough for his ex. So he decides to work even harder at lawyering just to make her jealous. Literally, he builds an entire career out of wanting to spite a woman. Later, our boy Elliot befriends an unlucky in love woman played by Jennifer Coolidge. This is no longer some gal pal trying to help her friend meet somebody who will love her for her. It's a guy explaining to a downhearted woman that dudes would like you better if you popped your ass out more.
Oh my god, the bend and snap works every time!
Even if it's a man helping a random older man get laid, I still don't love it.
I'm a middle-aged high school dropout who's got stretch marks and a fat ass.
I realize that's basically the plot of Hitch and Crazy Stupid Love, but it's still a weird thing to help people do. I don't want any strangers teaching me how to have and/or attract sex. I hate spoilers. Fast forward towards the end of the movie when Elliot's successes dunking on women in the classroom have landed him an exclusive internship. He quickly turns his compassion into a marketable skill by convincing their client to open up and give Elliot a rock-solid alibi for the murder, which Elliot refuses to share with the rest of the team because the client does not want to reveal what they were doing instead of murdering their wife. And what were they doing? Well, they were getting butt surgery to continue to look hot and rich and white and blonde, and also to stay rich, because it turns out the client has developed a workout routine. And I guess it doesn't work super well on their specific butt, hence the surgery, and they don't want that information to leak because then they could lose everything. i.e. they could lose out on future earnings for potentially deceptive and faulty product. Thank God they have a lawyer as compassionate as Elliot, who looks like they could be their twin. Elliot's unwillingness to betray the client's trust impresses Elliot's head lawyer, the legal term is, I believe, top gavel, so much that she feels him up and propositions him for sex. In the original movie, this, of course, thrusts Elle into a sea of self-doubt and humiliation before ultimately rising from the ashes to become the legally blonde which the prophecy foretold. With gender-swapped Elliot, that scene probably shakes out completely differently. If we're operating within the universe of 2001 Hollywood romantic comedies, then Elliot would have not only gone all the way with the woman hitting on him, but the situation as a whole probably would have been played for laughs. So yeah, then there's the big trial itself. Elle first successfully uses her skills to out a closeted gay man because she realizes he knows a lot about shoes. Not necessarily a gender thing, but still feels like a shitty thing.
You bitch!
Then she basically solves the entire case because she knows a lot about hair perming. I guess that's fine, but it's not necessarily indicative of her being a good lawyer, right? It'd be understood that that kind of knowledge was a one-off. It'd be the same if Elliot just knew a ton about the application of jock itch cream rather than, say, an important loophole or an established legal precedent. Like, good for you, weirdo, but no law firm is hiring you because of your rash knowledge and impeccable gaydar.
Harvard won't be impressed that you aced History of Polka Dots.
If anything, these are quality traits of a great detective or private eye, not somebody involved in trial litigation. But hey, maybe the movie itself is even somewhat aware of that, as it ends with hot little boy Elliot dating an older woman who started her own law practice and still has Lord Farquaad hair. Sure, Elliot graduated with honors and was elected speaker for the class, but does it not still feel a little bit like he's on a path towards becoming a trophy husband? Or is Elliot hoping to exclusively take on perm and/or jock itch related cases for sexy men that look identical to him moving forward? Again, maybe the moral of the story is, it doesn't matter if you're smart as long as you're hot, rich, cis, white, and good with a camera. He's overcome so much. And also, you can just decide to become smart one day if you want. So, about that, is it still a classic question? My answer is still yes, 1,000 times yes. But that doesn't mean Legally Blonde isn't still a little weird and worth thinking about more deeply. But that doesn't mean I haven't already bought my Elle Woods cosplay for my first 8 screenings of Legally Blonde 3 whenever that hits theaters. So why should I come to Harvard? Well, let's just say, I know what happened last week on The Mandalorian, and I wipe my ass with silk. Some people call me the house dad of the frat. My frat bros tell me everything, and it's weighing on my spirit. They tell me some fucked up shit. Brad recently told me that he was on campus and he... But you can't repeat that to anybody. That young man has got to come to our college. No, bend and snap. Really stick out the butt cheeks. Dudes love butt cheeks. I'm an ally. Is that stupid?